So I'm out on the dock. Give you a bit of a view, and just finished a series of wonderful coaching calls, and I'm always fulfilled watching my clients, integrate something, and then the shifts in their life, the shifts in their love life, the shifts in their health and well-being, the shifts in their money, the shifts with their kids, all the shifts. And there's something different. I don't know if it's better, but it's beautiful, because when I coach a coach and then we finish a session and then they do a session with their client, and what I integrated with them, they can now integrate with their client, and it just like ripples down. And it's people that I'll never meet. It's like there's this energy that comes through me. It's not just for me, for the client and their life. It's for me, the client, and then their clients and their lives. Like it kind of goes, I don't know, like it looks like a fireworks in my head of like, it just keeps flowing. And it just keeps flowing. And it's really friggin' fulfilling. So as you listen to this next podcast, we couldn't stop fucking talking, because we're both coaches, and the difference that we're here to make is just of like a similar flavor, I guess. And when I interviewed him, he had gone right into the source of where the wound occurred, gone back to like family. So he was really in it. And we just finished a PSI VIP weekend. And I'm sorry this is a little long, but it's so good, and we just couldn't stop talking. And especially if you're a coach, I want you to really see the dynamic. Like, I clearly am a coach, and I have 3 or 4 coaches. And to be able to coach a coach, you'll just see 1 and 1 is infinity. When you really have a partnership with such similar aligned values and missions and visions and purpose on the planet, it's delicious. So you're going to really enjoy this. And yeah, especially if you're a coach, allow it to awaken what's possible in your business for your clients. And especially if you're a gentleman with a mother wound, a father wound, all the wounds, but definitely a mother wound, it's going to really resonate with you as well. And thank you as you look deep into the beautiful partnerships that I get to have with my clients. Yeah, much love.
Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Soul Medicine. Intimacy is an inside job. Hello, delicious people. Welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations. Here we are, season 11. We're calling this Soul Medicine. And I'm here with one of my soul brothers and client and friend and colleague, Sean Hotchkiss. You can learn more about him at his website, Sean Hotchkiss, because he is a coach like me, specializing more in men. So let me tell you a bit about his bio, and then we're going to tell you all about our journey together. So Sean has spent years chasing money, status, sex, and stuff in the hopes that if he piled up enough external signifiers of success, he would finally feel fulfilled and content. Jason Isbell sang it best. I was so sure, maybe I should let you sing this, Sean, not me. I was so sure what I needed was more. But by Sean's early 30s, he realized his constant search for more was killing him. And that's when he began searching for an alternative and more sustainable approach for a fulfilling life. And his coaching practice is a result of his decade-long journey to answer the question, what makes a man feel truly content, whole, and alive? And so along comes, I guess it's been, how long has it been? When did we start this coaching? A year,
I think we started in July of 22.
Okay, so back in July of 22, this amazing new client comes on board, and you started, if I'm remembering correctly, in the Intimacy Breakthrough group, and then you desired deeper work with me, and you upgraded to the Inner Circle, and then we just recently finished a PSI VIP, which was epic. But start at the beginning, if you'd be so kind. Why, as a man, would you choose a female coach? Like, why me? Why? I don't even know if I've ever asked you this.
Yeah, no, well, I was working with a men's coach at the time, Brian Reeves, who you've interviewed before.
Who we
Uh,
love so
love,
much.
love Brian.
Yeah.
I was working in a year-long container with Brian, and I don't remember exactly how it came about, but somehow your name got slipped in there, and I ended up coming to one of like the promotional calls that you do with a lot of people where you kind of give the quick spiel about
Oh,
what
like
you.
a mastermind or something like
Yep.
that. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And for some reason, like, it just kind of clicked like, hey, I should investigate, I should talk to this woman. And then I remember specifically that you reached out to me, I think after I had been in that, or after I had reached out to you, and it just impressed me that you had like looked me up and read some of my articles, and I just really felt like, oh shit, like she really gives a shit. She really wants to work with me. And I do similar things with my clients, like I really invest if I want to work with someone. And so
Yeah.
I was intrigued. And then I just remember feeling like you really saw me and you really saw the potential for what our work could be together.
Yeah.
So that was like a huge thing for me. And I'm very like, I just follow my intuition, and like, it was just bells going off like, oh, you gotta go work with this woman. And I will say that like what quickly became clear is that this container with you and with the other women that participate in all of your, in your practice was
Mm.
where I was going to heal a lot of my trust issues with women, and
Yeah.
also subsequently like my own feminine side.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your muse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Thank you. Because when you came into the group, your energy was huge. Which I knew as soon as I like saw your work online and read like what an exquisite writer you are, and that you were so steeped in the men's work. And a lot of what I read had to do with the loss of your dad. So just a lot of the masculine, the father, the rest of this. And I thought, well, for me, I feel I'm successful because I have like female and male coaches. Like I'm the masculine, feminine energy is really, it's almost like a bookend. I feel like I'm sort of in the middle of the yin yang symbol, like held by my coaches like that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought, what a brilliant man who would see the benefit of that beautiful balance. Um,
Mhm.
I'm interested. Maybe we were, there's not a lot of guys on the Tuesday morning calls. It was like a Sean that was already there, and you were like the new Sean.
No, 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 no. He wasn't there.
Oh, was it you first and
I
he was
was
second?
I was the only man in that call for a while.
Oh, you're
For a
right.
while.
How was that?
It took me about 2 weeks to realize, like, holy shit, like I haven't done this before. Like
Yeah,
this is me in a group, in a coaching group with all women. And so all my shit came up because I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'd sign on to the call every time, and like my like how I used to show up around women is like, oh, I gotta impress them. I gotta
sure.
be suave, I gotta be cool, I gotta be desirable, I gotta be sexy, whatever. So I used to come on the calls, and like if I was feeling like shit, like I was like, well, I'm not gonna fake it, like so it was really good practice to just
Mm,
be exactly where I was with women who would accept me where I was.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm just covered in shivers for some reason. So that's just really awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad I could provide that structure, that container for you, and also for them, the ladies. I
Hmm.
mean, they all got Twitter pated, who's this handsome man and all the rest of it. So it triggered their shit too. And so how else are we going to grow unless our blind spots get triggered so we can address them, integrate them, process them, and become more?
Yeah.
So I love that. When did you decide, oh, she's not that bad, I think I'd like to coach with her a little more, and upgrade to the upgrade to the inner circle where I could, go a lot deeper with you with these processes? Why and when did you make that decision?
I wanted to work with you on a deeper level right from the start.
Ah,
But I was finishing up the program with Brian, and that ended in December, and then December came, and I said, okay, I'm ready to focus on our work.
yeah. I remember now. Yep, you're totally right. I got it. And then so we introduced you to the new group. What was different in your experience about the inner circle? Well, there's more guys, so it's a little more balanced, masculine, feminine. What did you notice?
That's a good question. I'm trying to call it back to that time. Um, I feel like what I noticed right off the bat is that I felt like, oh, I got comfortable in the old group and this is now a new group, like it was like all my shit came up again because I had gotten really comfortable as being like, oh, cool. I'm rolling along in the other group. So I remember being it was like I was starting in a new class at school or something. That's what I remember the most. And then I remember like really connecting right off the bat with a few people that I was like, oh, cool. Like I feel like I'm all right. This is good.
Yeah. Because then if I'm remembering time wise, if that was in December, January, we had the retreat in February in Mexico. Why did you choose to go? And what was your experience being with everybody in person?
I mean, to me, it was a no-brainer because I had just signed up to work with you for a year.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to do everything that Allana does, at least for this year. So, and I wanted to be in person with you and in that setting. And I wanted to meet everyone from online, but it was, I was in.
And what was your experience at the retreat? What were some takeaways or challenges, high points? I don't know how many retreats you've ever been to.
I've been to quite a few retreats. I think that this one was a little bit different in the sense that the focus of your work for a lot of people is, it's very much like people come to you because they want to meet their person. Like they want to, they like, there's like a love element that's like, I had never been to a retreat that's like focused on like love, like it just was, I don't know. And I say that in that way because like, it's like, there was a lot of couples there, for instance. Actually, that's something that I really remember. I remember experiencing at that retreat, like I saw a few couples and I was like, damn, that's impressive. What they have is really great.
Yeah.
And I had never been to any retreat like that with couples where I walked away being like, oh shit, that's like a goal for me. What they have is beautiful.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. And I'm wondering we don't need to name names, or we can totally name names, but there was a couple that came on the brink of divorce after 19 years, and someone I respect deeply who's been a podcast guest as well. And they walked right in. They'd been on my podcast before, but they never worked with me before. And then now Bob's working with me, but I was very nervous. I mean, I'd never coached them before, and here they're going to come right into a retreat on the brink of divorce, and I'm like supposed to wave my magic on. And so it was very intimidating, but also like, what else am I here to do? I'm here to create transformation. I'm here to like show up fully and just let go of the results. And I was so moved by the way I chose to do the exercises, the way the universe guided me to do the exercises, all the things, and that we got the opportunity to watch a couple recreate their marriage, recreate their vows to the point of getting new rings and calling each other new names. Like, I didn't plan that, but that's the magic of the power of love, self-love, love of other, right? Yep. How did that impact you? Because it wasn't just like going from good to great. And it was going from, we might end this, to we're stronger than ever. What did that do? Because I was single at the time.
Yeah.
It really inspired me.
Yeah.
What did it do for you?
I remember specifically the moment in that last practice when Jasmine spoke to Bob.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember how powerful that was. It was in front of all of us.
Yeah.
On her knees in front of him.
Yeah.
I remember how powerful that was. I remember that last exercise that we did really well because that it was fierce love.
Yes. Yes. Oh,
it was telling someone like what you thought a blind spot was for them, like with fierce love, basically.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
So
yes.
It was like, that's to me like the most powerful element of coaching in the first place. And then to just be a part of like a circle of 30 people where everyone was doing that and we were doing that for each other was really, really powerful. Because something that you said earlier in this conversation, like about seeing like like reading some of my stuff and seeing like, oh, this guy has talked a lot about healing sort of the more masculine wound. I see there's an opportunity to work on this feminine wound, right?
Yep. Yep.
That's
Yep.
a perfect example of that, because I didn't see that. I was like, I do men's work. I'm working on men's work, but I didn't really see that there was an element there that really needed attention. Like if I look at the last year now, I'm like, how the fuck did I not see that?
I just
like,
called a blind spot. Yeah.
I mean, my love life has been a dumpster fire for years, like it's like I wasn't ready to address that until I started working with you.
Oh, thank you, Sean. Yeah. I'm remembering at the retreat, and there was that moment, and I had all the women surround you, and the men kind of hold space at the back. I don't think I've ever told you this. I held back. I wanted to go like 10 million times deeper. And I don't know if I sensed it wasn't time. I don't know what it was, but I went to a certain degree, and then I just didn't feel the next level of opening, or I didn't feel your receptivity for the next level of opening, or I felt this was enough at this moment. I don't know what it was, but I just paused, but I knew there was another gap to close, in terms of your receiving healthy feminine adoration.
Yeah.
Right. Not even sexual. It can include sexual, but it was a sacredness. Yes. So I want to like pinpoint that. And then I want to go all the way to your decision to do a PSI weekend with me, where we really, so that was what I wanted. I knew that was possible. Not the cognitive analysis of exactly what, but the sense, oh, there's a big motherfucking wound here that once collapsed is going to change your existence forever. So maybe share from the retreat, which was February, all this time to this last weekend, and what's happened. Because I can be the trigger for you. I'm the feminine.
Totally.
Right? I can be your ally, but I can also be your nemesis. So I always say it doesn't get good until you, I know. I was like, it doesn't get good until you say, fuck you, Allana. And I'm like, oh, there he goes. Fuck you, Allana. Like, but yeah, because I love you. It's all good. But tell me the journey of what it's really like to, sorry, this is Muffin. She's here right now.
Just a tale.
Yeah. What's the journey been?
Well, I remember leaving the retreat.
Yeah.
I was in a relationship at the time.
Right.
That I knew that I didn't want to be in. And leaving the retreat, I remember having the experience of seeing some couples where I was like, oh, that's a vision of what I do want down the road. What the hell is wrong with me that I am in this relationship and not in that relationship? So that allowed me to see what the gap was really like. And I think the gap was really what you're talking about. It was the inability to open and to receive what I was actually looking for.
Yes.
On some level, I was like, no fucking way do I want that.
Oh.
I mean, I was like, if you asked me, I would have said, yeah, I want to be in a loving relationship. But there were parts of me that did not want that because it didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
So the journey from February to 2 weeks ago when we were in North Carolina was, I think, me really getting to see my old pattern, which was, because I don't want you to get too close to me, I'm going to choose people who are wildly unavailable.
Yeah.
And I'm going to chase them.
Yeah.
And get the scraps.
Yeah.
And then that's obviously not fulfilling. But it's been safer than feeling like someone is on top of me, which was the fear.
The smothering. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the journey from February to 2 weeks ago was really like parsing through enough of that so that we could, and learn, like opening more and more, I think, like incrementally, to the point when we could actually, under the medicine, like we could actually work to actually collapse that.
Yeah.
Pattern,
I'm curious. Thank you. I'm curious. You also simultaneously watched me go through hell.
Yes.
I was going through the depth of my PSI journey, criminal assault. I mean, I was being just destabilized and disoriented and showing up vulnerably on calls And so you were watching me coach people, but also go through my own vulnerable journey. And I'm wondering, did that support your trust in me, respect in me, willingness to go to this PSI weekend? I'm kind of wondering how, because for me, when we started our private work together, I did a great job. But like once I started to do more PSI work, something crazy happened. Like I could track your energy. I could sense what was going on in ways I'd never, honestly, with any other client. Like I have a new superpower, and you, I believe, for somebody that was not very receptive to feminine energy being there, was very bravely receptive to the work we did. And we got really far, really fast on our private sessions, even before the PSI. So what was that all like for you?
Yeah, I mean, you're reminding me of another thing that really stuck out to me when I started working with you is, this is something that I look for in anyone that I'm going to work with, but like you being like a few steps ahead so that I can see what the path looks like.
Yeah.
Like, and like you said, you were really in it. And I knew intuitively like what you were breaking through yourself. And I'm like, okay, that's the direction that I need to go in.
Yep.
And it's been really interesting because as you have been finding these superpowers, right, within you that allow you to hold a certain space, I am literally right behind you. Like it's almost like we can do a session and then I can go take what I learned from you and just do it an hour later with someone.
I know, that's why it's so fulfilling for me to work with you as a coach. Yeah. Tell me more.
No, it's really cool. It's like, for me, it's also a unique thing and something that I haven't experienced before, because I was finding that like now when I do sessions with clients, I'm experiencing what they're experiencing and I'm able to track what's happening in their body. It just happened to me last night.
Nice.
And so it's crazy. So there's this synchronicity thing that's been happening with watching you and knowing the direction that you were going in and knowing that your world was like breaking apart and that you were just sharing it with us. And I think on some deep level, like I knew, oh shit, that's about to happen to me. It hasn't happened yet, but it's about to. And so like, I'm going to pay attention here to what's happening to her, because like you and another friend of mine have been really instrumental, because you're both like you're just like a little bit ahead of me to the point where I'm like, oh, that's what's going to be coming up next for me, so I can watch that happen and be like, okay, she didn't die. She's good. It's so cool. It's really been cool. I actually just appreciate the ability to reflect on it now, because it has been really cool to experience. And it has allowed me to trust. That's the difference is I know that you're doing that. So when we go into the sessions, I know that you've walked through that fire first. So then I can just, cool. All right, let's do it.
Yeah. Beautiful. What began to occur in terms of your connection to, relationship with, dynamic with the feminine? Because I'm not old enough to be your mother, but I'm older than you. Right. And then I have this authority figure coach, but then I have this vulnerability hot mess. She shows up on the call and she's like crying her face off. Like I have all these different flavors. Were there any beliefs that began to be in question about who a woman is? How can I trust a woman? Does she really care about me? Like, did anything start to percolate consciously that led you to say, when you literally drove across the country, you watched my whole life fall apart and I drove across the country, and then you let go of your place in California and you drove across the country and you're like, hey, I think I might stop by for a little PSI weekend. What do you say? What happened in terms of your willingness? Because I'm just going to say it's one of the most powerful PSI weekends ever in terms of the level of darkness and program. That was our intention to collapse it. And I said, I can't guarantee it, but I'm in with your intention. Was there anything else that I did to provide safety for you to trust? My nemesis was the masculine. Your nemesis was the feminine. Like for you to trust this one to take you into the darkest dark and through to the home to you.
I think for me, it was really just an intuition and just knowing that was that was going to be this big piece of our work, and
Yeah.
that a lot of our work had been leading up to that moment, and it felt, like everything felt very in sync as I was preparing to leave. And then I had this drive across the country, which turned into this vision quest of like, where I was, driving through hellacious rain and then
Right.
heat. And
Right.
then my body was breaking down. I was sick and I was like, I can't go on. And I left you that message.
I know.
You were like, I think this is one of those moments where you just power through, and I was like, no, yeah, she's right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to answer your question, I don't know if there was anything specific that you did,
Mm.
other than the fact that we had been building trust for over a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really get the sense, one thing that I know about PSI is there's something glamorous about it. It's fucking real. And it's like, you don't get that like blasted out of your body feeling and that euphoria of like, I'm connected to source. It's like you're like going through like the deep, I mean, sometimes you do, but you're going through like the really difficult stuff that's held in your body, and
Yeah.
like, past life stuff. And so there was something about me that was like, okay, I know that this has been coming for me, and I just, it's there's something about maturity that's coming up in my life right now too,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
about like no more escapism and no
Yeah.
more like, because my relationship history was very like escapist.
Mm.
Like there was a lot of fantasy, there was a lot of like, disappearing into these relationships that were like mostly lust and mostly fantasy and like all that shit. And so like there was this end to this escapist thing, and it felt like the PSI would be the perfect place to like really just like face what I had to face.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
The program that fell, I was all over your life.
Yes.
Was like the way you ran your business, the way you dated, the way you interacted with people. And I think most importantly, the way you saw yourself. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I'm this amazing coach. I can change all these people's lives, but shit, if I can do this. And this is exactly how I felt. Here I am doing all this work. How the hell did I attract a criminal, for God's sake? Right. And the beauty, at least for me, and then I'd like you to share it with your experience. The beauty for me when I first started to not go out to tier 3, as you said. I mean, and I'm so glad I've had those experiences because I know I'm one with all. But to go in and let the body show me, like surrender, and let the body take me all the way home to 0, which is a wholeness on the inside. Like I remember the one point in your journey where it was only the upper half of your body at that point, but you're like, oh, I'm inside of me. I can feel my edges. Everything's okay. And you were so happy. I didn't feel my legs. It's okay. We'll get there. We'll get there later, right? So it does have an inner wholeness and euphoria, just not an outer high kind of blissful thing. But for me, when I finally got through things and I understood why, I saw the program that made me attract abusive men personally and professionally.
Yes.
And then I got it back to 0. I, for the first time, not a cognitive little journaling exercise of forgiveness. No. I forgave myself, and I poured, or it was poured into me, mercy on a level that everything is okay now.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know I hated and loathed myself to this degree because I knew better.
Yes.
But I couldn't stop this horrendous behavior. And then the more important I got, or the more credibility I got, the worse I felt about myself.
1000%.
So what's that been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I so relate to that. I so relate to that feeling of like, I'm out there. I know I'm helping all these guys. I know I'm doing this great work in the world, but in my private life, like this shit is a mess. And you're right. Like the self-hatred would just magnify, because I'm like, why can't I stop picking the same person? Like, why can't I stop being in the same like awful relationship?
Yeah.
And and for me, like, the pattern was really like I would always attract people that would use me, like I would always, like, over and over again, but it was like I needed to like keep like the program was I needed to just keep seducing, more and more and more people. And it was like I just remember being so tired because it was like I had so many people that were like literally sucking my life force dry. You know, like, and I was allowing it because it was like,
you're choosing it even.
Well, it was the alternative to being alone, which I didn't want to face, right? It was like, it was, one of the things that I remember really feeling a lot on the PSI weekend were just like all these horrible times of like dying alone and being, just feeling so like angry at God, angry at like my lot in life. Like, this happened again. Like, it would have been happening for lifetimes.
Yeah.
And so to like really, to your point, like to really get the felt experience of that and understand why that had been happening was just like, oh my God, thank God. Like I just the forgiveness that came through and the understanding and the compassion that came through was so game changing for me. Like I was like, oh my God, I get it. Like this wasn't something I was doing wrong. It was this like deep program.
Correct. Yeah. I'm just, even in just 2 weeks since the weekend, watching on the call last night, the group call, and just the lightness of being and the acknowledgement. What did it feel like for Garrett to acknowledge you? The difference that this weekend's made and how, because he's known you for over for a year.
No, I loved it. I mean, it felt so good. I texted him afterward and just thanked him for that because, it was like, I think it was really, that was meaningful to get that from a man as well.
Yeah. Say for the viewers or listeners, to the best of your remembrance, what did he say?
He just was like, dude, you just seem so light. Like he's like when I knew you before, and like obviously like I loved you and I loved your energy before, but he's like, you were always carrying this heaviness.
Yeah.
And it's funny, one of the things that I feel like I've really let go of so much heaviness with plant medicine in general. Like I remember even when I started doing it back years ago, I would go to these journeys carrying what felt like this giant weight, and I would leave it in some cellar room, in some house in the Hollywood Hills where I went to do the journey, but I would come out and I would even come upstairs and everyone in the room would turn towards me and be like, what did you just let go of down there? I feel like that sort of slaying the monster experience that we had, like, I feel like I've slayed a fuck ton of monsters in these ceremonies. It's like, I don't understand all of that or need to, but it's like, there's some entities hanging around that like, don't want to leave sometimes.
Yeah. Well, you make a good point, a transition point, because for me, when I did my PSI, I never knew that I was I didn't know I disassociated and I was in hypervigilance, but I didn't know specifically in my body that I wasn't in my hips. I was in my heart. And because I was coherent in my heart, I couldn't go down into my hips and intuition, but I could go up into my pineal and connect with spirit. So I was operating sort of like half up.
Yeah.
What happened for you in our experience was that you were very much even over functioning in your head and over functioning in your genitals, but your heart wasn't there.
Yeah.
It was shriveled up, gone, disassociated. And so that would make sense that both of us bodily, if we weren't in our bodies, demons, entities, other people's energy, all the things could live in there and fuck with us, even though we had the best of intentions and we did all of our medicine journeys and we did all these things. Disassociation, held trauma in the body, in my opinion, makes room, even though this is not what they say on the psychedelic somatic integration website, it makes room for friggin' other entities to be in there, hold us down, hold us back, and make us repeat the pattern happier than shit to get in there, because we're go-getters. We're never giver-uppers. We make a difference. So they like leech onto us. And so, yes, we cleared a very scary being out of the whole left side of your body. But I think what was more powerful was that you got back in your body. You and your heart had a massive awakening to be embodied as the real Sean. So tell them about that and what it's been like for now 2 weeks.
Yeah. And something quick that I want to say about that too is like, what blows me away about the PSI, I don't know about your experience with this,
Yeah.
but you can have that experience, something like that so profound with letting go of something that you didn't even know was there in the journey, and then
Yeah.
the external world like reacts to that. Like I remember like after 2 days like of walking out of that journey, or even like the Monday morning I got in my car to leave the
Uh-huh.
house where we
Uh-huh.
were,
Yeah.
like it was like all those cords to so many people had been cut. It
Yes.
was like
Yes.
it actually felt eerily silent because I
Yes.
was
I got so
so
many shivers right now.
yes, I was so used to all those people reaching
Tendrils.
out to me. Yes, and it was like people just fell by the wayside. It
Yes.
was like it was so quiet.
Yes.
I was like, this is fucking weird. Like,
Eerie. Yeah.
where's
Yeah.
yeah, where are the text messages? Where are the where is that energy?
Yeah.
And it's been wild since, because it's changed. Like they're not coming. And when they do, I can spot them.
Sure. There's
You know,
nothing to hook into anymore.
there's nothing to hook
The
into.
program
Yeah,
isn't running the show anymore.
yeah,
Sean is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What was it like to, because to me the key to stay back in your body was what went down with your heart. Once the
Yeah.
disassociation came back, and that was not so fun to come back, right?
Sure.
But what happened? What's it
Um,
like to you
I
and
mean,
Peter?
what I'm noticing is just I feel very present.
Mhm.
I feel I'm having experiences even in the last 2 weeks of feeling like fully content in an otherwise nondescript moment. Like just, I told you about my bike rides that I've been taking. Like I
Yeah.
had this moment, I think it was yesterday or the day before, where I was riding on this beautiful country road. There's farms and lakes and like these big moss trees that hang
Yeah.
down,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm just riding and it's sunny, and I'm like, if this road were to just go on for eternity and this was my life, I would be like perfectly content.
Wow.
Like
Wow.
I could just pedal, 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 and I'd just be
Oh,
happy. I'm so happy right now. I'm so content, you
so
know?
good.
So like having experiences like that I don't know if I've ever had them to that degree
Yeah. Well,
before.
your program was
Yeah.
outside in, seduce, manipulate, be safe. So how could you actually just rest and be?
I was constantly longing for something.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was my old state of being. Was if I was in a place like that, I was thinking about something that I needed, or
Yep.
something that I needed to get to. I needed to get back to the house, to get to the
Yep.
thing, to check my
Yep.
email, to get
Yep.
a dopamine or whatever, right? It was
Yep.
like
Yep.
that's the difference. Is like
Mhm.
now I'll go out and I'm like I'm fine with just like getting lost and just like kicking around out there. It's a trip.
This is awesome. I remember along the journey knowing that the quality of relationships you were attracting, creating were not working, and you took like a sabbatical from women, or you did like this. Isn't it so interesting that when the program isn't collapsed, we can even our brother Brian with like stopping drinking for like 2 months or 1 month or 6 months, the program was still there. So he
Yeah.
could even do the things, you
Yeah.
not date or him not drink, but then he just would go back to drinking again
Right.
until his PSI weekend. And now we're going to do our third one coming up here. The program's gone.
Yes.
He's not trying not to drink. He's
No.
just drunk. It
It's
just
gone.
is. Isn't it
Yeah.
amazing to watch that in him?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's really insane. The addictive program like that. It for me, I mean, I had many addictions to many things, and I watched that happen with other things. It was like I had no problem like stopping doing. I used to do a lot of cocaine, for instance, very addictive substance, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
I could go years without doing it, but if I did any, it would be like I just did it yesterday, and it
Whoa.
would go right back into the thing. And for
Right.
me, like the sex and relationship thing was just like that too. It was like I'm not gonna date, and then like the next woman I would meet, it would go right back into like the crazy,
Yeah. Yeah.
right
Okay.
back to crazy. But
So
now,
then,
yeah,
yeah.
but now I'm like it's really like this felt understanding of like, no, that's just not my life anymore. Like I don't like I still have to like pinch myself once in a while, like the last few weeks, because I'm like, no, actually, like like, let's check in with reality and what's actually happening right now.
Yep.
You're in a place where I'm at my mother and stepfather's house in Florida, and they live there. There's no one under the age of 65 anywhere in this area. and I am here. I'm having no issues. I mean, I want to be honest. Since we collapsed the program, I am definitely grieving my old life.
Sure. Thank you.
That is very much a part of my day-to-day reality. I was very sad this morning over an ex of mine. I was, I'm definitely grieving that old life, but day to day, when I check in with reality, I'm like, you're in this place where there is like, there's no, like, you're not, there's nothing going on and you're fine.
Right.
Like, I'm not like firing up Hinge, and trying to get some dates, like I'm not on Instagram like trolling for my next lover, like I'm not doing anything. I'm just being here, like riding my bike for like 3 hours a day, and I'm cool with it. Like once in a while I get sad, and other than that, I'm cool with it. Once in a while I'll have like a little like withdrawal symptom, as I call them, like last night I had a hard time falling asleep because I was thinking about my ex, for instance. And like, I'll get in that kind of like my body is kind of like, where the fuck is she type of thing,
Right.
Like an addict without its substance,
Yeah.
So I had those, but it's like, it's predominantly just me being,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. Back before my program fell, and I was thick in that relationship, I didn't tell anybody that I was being hit. I didn't tell anybody what was going on behind closed doors. Yeah. And I literally just had a call with another one of our inner circle clients. And she's like, because I'm in a new relationship now, she's like, I just need to ask you, and I'm just, if it happens again, would you please tell me?
Yeah.
And unless you've had the collapse of a program, do you actually understand that there's no chance that would ever happen again? Totally. Right? And back then I would have said, oh yeah, sure, I'll tell you, but no way. The level of level 4 hypervigilance and what that does to the autonomic nervous system. And you are constantly, even beyond fight or flight. I was in friend and, befriend the enemy, right? It was like, no, it would never stop. And then I add in the guns and the shame and all the different things. I literally couldn't even tell friends of 20 years what was going on. Oh, no. I couldn't. And I'm brave and I'm courageous and I have a good heart and I have good intentions and I have all the things. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get myself out of it. And I used to judge women or men who stay in these, abusive relationships. Well, just leave. I had no clue. The power of this program mixed with my autonomic nervous system, mixed with self-shame, mixed with I'm a coach and I should have it together. All the things that if it wasn't for him getting arrested, Lord knows what would have happened, right? Because I didn't have this ability. And now that the program's fallen, like you said, you're pinching yourself. I'm home. Yeah. I'm quiet inside. I'm aligned inside. I'm multidimensionally connected. I'm motherfucking powerful. I'm certainly humbled and I'm home. And I was able to, from this place, attract and receive a king. I only used to be attracted to wounded kings. Yeah. Now they are not attractive anymore. And this king that was like, right? Now he's like everything because I can receive him and I'm adored, I'm cherished, and there's food in the fridge for the next 5 weeks that he went shopping for because he's taking care of me. And I'm like, I've never had that before. It was amazing. Yeah. And there's no way this will ever happen again. Right. And it's hard to explain to somebody who hasn't gone through this level of deep, brave work and the program falls. So tell us what it's like for you to pinch yourself and have this now, because you had I'd say ego mind, not divine mind. And you had seductive sexuality, not sacred sexuality, but something really profound happened when you went ding, 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 and the heart came on. Yeah. The disassociated heart came back because you're never going back. You're never doing that again. You're home and still inside your being, Sean.
I don't think I could.
No, you can't because the program's gone.
Yeah.
We didn't do relief. We didn't do improvement. We did transfer fucking mation.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about that. Cause that was, I've never been with a heart so feisty before.
Oh yeah. The heart he was angry.
Tell the people, because your willingness, that was a big homecoming.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that was the part with the ego falling. Yeah, that was a scary ass part. Yeah, when my heart came back online, and he was very offline, like was like in the corner of the closet, shriveled up, you know.
Yep.
And as I'll just call him it came back online. Came back online. Yeah, there was a lot of emotion there. There was an ultimatum thrown out. It was like I will not come back unless you let me run the show. That was the agreement that I had to make in order for my heart to come back online. Was like, I run the show, no more shit. And he got angry, and then he got sad, and it was the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of sadness after the anger. Yeah.
A lot of sadness. Yeah. It was like, there was a ton of sadness after the anger.
Because the heart witnessed you disassociated.
Yes.
Being killed, used, maimed. I mean, a lot of stuff. And it was unwilling to watch you suffer like that anymore. And
it had to go away.
Yeah. It's too much pain.
Too much pain. I mean, I think even in this lifetime, like how much pain that has been for me to experience, again, knowing what I specifically in this pattern, I've been aware of this pattern for a decade. Yeah. So like, it was like, I was watching myself do this for a decade.
Yeah.
And the amount of self-hatred that built up in that decade, because I remember a decade ago when this was happening, how hard I was on myself as it was happening. So imagine how I felt last summer when this was happening.
Yes.
I told you, I was joking with you. It was like, it would come out in really like nasty ways. Like I would punish myself. Like I got this horrible tattoo.
That's right. The eagle. What was it?
Yeah. The eagle. Let's
that eagle.
Quotes on it. It doesn't look like an eagle.
It tries.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And so I remember the moment when it was giving you this ultimatum, and you weren't sure.
Yeah.
Because it was divine will, ego will. They were having a battle. And everything that kept you surviving but never thriving would have to fall to allow the heart to take the lead, which would require the ultimate surrender.
Yes.
And when it did come back online and you're like, okay, I give, then the sadness, there was a wave of that. But then it began to wake up. Oh my God, sexuality could be sacred, not a manipulation. My mind could not be a manipulative strategy to be safe. It could be brilliance and divinely connected, and your muse could awaken. What is it literally like to be in your body with your heart leading the show?
I was reminded as you were just taking me through that something that you said once, which I've been thinking about a lot, which is when you actually make the decision to have the divine be the boss, like when that's a big fucking deal.
I know.
Like that's like I think like in spirit, like in spirituality, it can be like it's kind of like a cute thing to be like, yeah, like I'm the divine's working through me. I'm a vessel, right? But like, no, it's not a fucking joke. Like when you actually give up your will.
Yeah.
Like all the shit that I want, being ego, right? Sean, identity Sean, the person that I identify with, right? All the stuff that he wants versus what's actually trying to happen through me, that is a fucking big deal.
It's massive.
And so again, your willingness to show what that has looked like in your life has been very helpful for me because I was like, okay, like I know this is coming for me and I've been putting this off a long time.
For 10 years or 10 lifetimes or
seriously. Like I like I knew that I know that's coming for me, and I know that that's going to allow me to be the most effective person in the world and to
Yes.
help as many people as I can, and all that
Yes.
stuff is great. But before, when I would have said that to you, because I would have said the same thing, it
Yep.
was still coming from my ego.
Totally. Yep.
You know, like it was still coming from my ego. And I think like if I look back now, that sort of like middle stage of like, okay, cool, I'm a coach, I'm helping lots of people, I'm making good money, I'm like living my dream life, still ego.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Still ego. And
Yeah.
and I'm not saying the ego like completely disappears, but it's like it starts as it takes a back seat to the
Correct.
heart, as
Yep.
it takes a back seat to, you know, life moving through me, right? Like that's a very different ball game. Like if I've been telling everyone this, you know, all my friends, it's like if my ego is still running the show, I would not be sitting here right now in Florida.
Yep.
No fucking chance.
Yep.
There's no chance.
Yep. Yeah.
Because this is not like my sexy life. Like at all. Like it's not.
Going
But
for gilfs now, you know,
what's that?
like a MILF, but a gilf because it's a grandma. The
Yeah,
65-year-olds around
yeah,
you.
the gilf world. Yeah. Yeah, I did get some like, oh, you're so handsome comments in church on Sunday.
Oh, good. I'm
Yeah.
glad.
So I'm not like invisible.
Yeah. It's like, what do they say? Risk it all to have it all. Or when we let the divine lead through us, we have to be willing for everything to die. Everything.
Yeah.
And some of it does and some of it doesn't.
Totally.
But a willingness to get in the back seat.
Yeah.
Right. We're still alert.
Which can't be faked either.
No, energetically, it can't be faked. No, 100%. And I think that's why you were so disoriented the first week or the day that you left the weekend, because for me anyways, there's nowhere to grasp. There's no point of view. There's no perspective. There's no attachment to outcome. There's no identity. There's nothing's there. Nothing can stick, nor can I grab. And it's like, I remember so hard trying to figure out in my smart little brain, got to understand. And my sweet facilitator, he's like, what if now it's not about understanding, figuring it out. It's about dropping down and knowing. What if this is where you live from? And you feel not the emotional ups and downs, but the sense of, the nudges, listening to the whispers with this congruent alignment. And as soon as I got that direction, once the program fell, to go deeper in rather than up to figuring it out, I've started to flow. It's a hell of a lot easier. Yeah. It's a hell of a lot easier. So you're only 2 weeks into this. I'm very curious about your genitals. So, because that was a big area of manipulation and seduction. And I had a little suggestion for you to shift you over into the sacred world, because I do believe there's a difference. Like the heart needs to definitely lead the show, but there's a soul hip knowing that informs an open heart and ignites a divine mind. That's a different way of living. Yeah. Tell us about your genitals, sir.
Well, let me start off by saying one quick thing. I really think that is my work right now, because I can see myself wanting to go back to orient. Like, I need something from my past to orient me to who I am. I need that's my work right now, because everything in my body and in my hips and, you know, in those centers of knowing are like, dude, you gotta rest. You've been hyper vigilant for 40 fucking years. But right? I'm like going into a winter right now. Like I need to rest.
Thank you.
And it's like, you know, don't take on too much. Like just rest.
Yeah.
And I can see like my head jumps in and says, no, you need to write this, or you need to like put this out, or you need to share this. And it's
like that book finished, or
rest, you know, like you will be able to write all those things from the rested place, you know?
Yes. Oh, let me say something about that and then continue on, please. That is a beautiful reflection for me, Sean. Thank you, because I spent 1.5 years in the middle of nowhere in Wyoming.
You did. Exactly.
And I did craniosacral. I did chiropractic. I did acupuncture. I did massage. I did my PSI. I've probably done 27, 28 journeys.
Yeah.
and to continue to support this integration until the universe was like, atta girl, now we're going to move. And then I moved into my astrocartography golden zone.
Yeah.
And I started to feel aliveness again. It took me a long time. If we want to look at my whole 53 years, not so long. But when you're in it, a year and a half of this deep work feels like a lot. But now it's an authentic expression. And people were sharing on our call last night, like the difference in you, the difference in, Brian, other Diana, the people that have done this work with me. But also it was a beautiful acknowledgement to go, wow, you're happier than we've ever seen you, Allana. Like for real. Not excited.
Yeah.
Joyful.
Right. Yeah. There's a calmness to it.
Yeah.
And I know that it's going to take a while for me. I do. And that's the thing that I would say that is the thing that I wrestle with, is like, again, the mind wants to plan, wants to figure it out, wants to know where I'm going to be in November, wants to know where I'm, and then coming back to, I was actually talking, one of my mother and stepfather's friends is a super talented astrologer, numerologist. And, she's so funny. Every time I like go over to her house, she's like, okay, I'm gonna do something quick for you, just to like give me an update. And she said that this morning, she was giving me kind of an outlook, and she was like, you're in this chill time right now. She's like, you may not know what the hell is going on till the beginning of next year, and just be in that space. Yeah. She's like, don't try to think about where you need to go, because there's nowhere to go.
Yeah. Wow. And this makes me feel very grateful and proud that I can provide an inner circle and a community where you're not judged, you're held, you are unconditionally loved, and people are going through this journey at various levels, and we've got your back. Mm-hmm. And there's no expectations. Mm-hmm. There's no you gotta in order to's. It's just this conscious cocoon community where I'm also doing my work, and we're all in this together. And I know what a gift it's been for me to have the community as I've gone all through this, even though I'm quote unquote facilitating it. So I'm really glad that you can give yourself that, so that you don't get back into nothing's wrong with this, but like entrepreneurial things. What are you going to produce? And when's your next launch? And because that's this running the show. And there's a whole other way of being that will arise as you allow more and more of this divine energy, plus Sean's unique essence to express.
Exactly. Yeah. I think as far as to loop back around to your questions about, you asked me about my genitals. Like,
yes, I did.
No. So
forget
that. I one thing that's really becoming clear to me is that for many years, like, I really felt like an object, including that part of me. So like, I remember moments over the last 10 years, like since I had a lot of awareness around it, like in these periods when I would be alone, like I would like look at myself in the mirror or something, and I'd be like, what good is this if I don't have like a woman to be like, adoring, desiring me,
Interesting. Okay.
So like, just to allow myself to just come back to like a baseline with myself is like, just like appreciating my body for the fact I can just ride a bike, or like, be in the sun, or, feel myself move, like that kind of thing. And just take this seduction element out of it completely. I'm not on the market, I'm not, like that kind of thing. And that's like a really big shift.
Wow.
It's a really big shift, because like all my self-worth came from like if I was desirable to women. So this is a huge like recalibration.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, how would you end this? And where do you source your worth?
Where do I source my worth? I mean, to me, my worth is just coming from like how I show up, like, in my present, in
your
my
presence. Yeah. Like the topic of the inner circle call last night was presence.
Yeah. My present, am I here? Yeah, the value of my presence. Exactly. Yeah. I was thinking about that this morning, because I was playing golf with like sort of my surrogate grandfather and a bunch of his friends all over 70 years old. And like I was like, they were like really loving like having like a young dude there, you know, like I can hit the ball far, and like, you know, like they were just like enjoying like being with me. And I was reminded of that conversation from last night that we all had, like about like, oh, like it's just cool that I'm here. Like they're just enjoying me being here. I'm not, you know, no one's like taking anything from me. They're just enjoying my presence, you know?
Yeah. Isn't
Yeah.
that so lovely? The old transactional way of being, give, take can shift with this integration work with PSI into this beautiful figure eight. I'm whole, you're whole. We just bring out the best in one another. Nothing to do, nothing to take, nothing to control, nothing to manipulate, strategize. We're just dancing. Yeah. I love this. I have one more question, but I want to first ask, you do incredible work with men. I want you to share to the men listening what it would be like to work with you, given the work you've done here, and share a little more about what you're up to.
Yeah. I think like one thing that's really changed for me in the work that I've been doing with men since I've been working with you is I feel like I can really go directly at something when it's present in the session, you know, like we can go right into it and we can really integrate that feeling right there, which is so amazing.
Nice.
I didn't have that ability before. I would lead people through processes,
Yeah.
but it was more, it felt a little bit headier, or maybe like sort of hearty, but like not like full body integrate, you know?
Yeah.
So I love that I can do that with guys now, because all these opportunities are now coming forward with my current clients to just like really integrate some really big shit.
Nice.
But I would say as a whole, like with men, like I do what's typically referred to as men's work, which is like we look at like the wound that most men have around not feeling connected emotionally to their dad or physically to their father.
Yeah.
And then we look at the repercussions that absent father has on their relationship with their mother, which is really juicy. And that's the stuff that I really am still like I've just recently been healing these big things around that. So I'm really excited about the potential to be able to really lead men through that process, because even within men's work, that the mother stuff and the stuff that relates to sex and relationships can feel super taboo, and like a lot of guys don't touch that.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. It's so transformative to like, because like, you know, when you're a young person, like your mother is like the world. So you learn how to interact with the world at large through how you learn to interact with your mother. So it's like, you know, I love working with guys, because the easiest thing to do with men is to put them in a men's group with other men and learn to be vulnerable with each other, which is usually very transformative as it is.
Yeah.
Because most men don't have that in their lives. I think there's some stat flying around that most men don't have a single person that they feel like they can be vulnerable with.
Oh, that's atrocious.
Definitely not a man. You know, they might have, you know, if they're straight, they might have their partner, you know, but it's like most men do not have a single other man that they feel like they can go to and be vulnerable with. So like just putting a man in a men's group is super transformative, because like it just becomes a team, you know, like you like our crew. It's like it just becomes a team where all of a sudden Brian uses these 4 words, but he's like witnessed, supported, celebrated, and challenged, right? All of a sudden you have this circle around you where guys are doing that. And it makes such a profound difference in their life just to get that mirroring. And you know, I love watching like the friendships that develop and these lifetime bonds that come from these groups, right? So that's kind of the work that I do with men. And what I'm excited about is being able to take all the stuff that I've learned in working with you and be able to integrate that, including this medicine work. You know, I've been searching for years for a way that I feel like I can in full integrity, like take someone into the darkest places that they've ever been, because I know the power of transmuting and integrating that stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
So glad you got it.
I'm excited about that, because like I'm going up to New York in a week or so to do my first one with a guy I've been working with for 3 years. And
wonderful.
So I'm pumped about that.
Oh, that makes me so happy. It's just so great when we do our work and pay it forward and see it live
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So I love everything that you just shared and the power of the men's work, and that you're taking what you've learned with us to the next level, literally after a private session or a PSI weekend. That makes me feel so happy. I really believe you're going to be a leader, Sean, when it comes to men talking about when the dad is absent.
Yeah.
And the mom has to make up for that
Yeah.
inappropriately because it's off balance,
Totally.
and how it fucks up the son.
Yeah.
And then those relationships occur. There's not a lot of men who have healed it,
Yeah.
who can be the embodiment of what's on the other side. And I really believe this is going to be huge for you for, in time after you've had your winter and your period, but when the book wants to come through, and the men that you'll attract and the voice that you'll be. And I'm just always here to support you in that, because the bravery to be with she who triggers you, the woman, and do the work with me and not abort, and not and to integrate all the way to what we did 2 weeks ago, and then to continue and show up even more as a leader in our inner circle community is very nourishing for me. And I really believe in you. I'm really inspired. Yeah, really inspired.
So yeah, I'm that to me, like what you just reflected to me feels, when you talk about that, or when I was talking about this with you in North Carolina, like that is like my deep purpose, like
I know.
I'm so excited about that, because
I know.
it feels so revolutionary. It feels like what I was digging for all these years.
Yep.
And knew that there was, if I just kept going, kept going, that it would be. I can't wait to be a voice for that in the world, because I know put it this way, I see most of my contemporaries struggling with this very thing.
Wow. Okay. I got shivers. Wow. Wow. Stunning. Okay. The shivers are going all the way down to my feet. So yeah, in time, if you ever want to role play or reflect off of me, how to present this, but for you to be up under your contemporaries and heal this piece, do you realize their marriages, how they're going to be with their mothers, their daughters, how they're going to be with their own bodies and sexuality? And then again, like I always say in the work we do, 1 + 1 is infinity when we've got two whole people here. Like, whoa. Yeah. I knew at the moment I read your first blog, when you first started working with me, I'm like, this one's got some energy on it. I want to work with this one. Okay. Sign them up. Yeah. So what would you say to someone watching this, specifically men, but I believe any change maker who is doing that? What the fuck is wrong with me? I can't change this. Why would you recommend working with me in this capacity to them?
To me, there is the ability to really get into the actual program of why this is happening, as we've been talking about, and to really actually dig into and really integrate and let that go. It's the only way that I've found to really do that, because again, as someone, like, I know there are lots of people out there who are struggling with this very thing right now. They're struggling with, like, holy shit, like, I know that I'm, like, giving back to the world, and I have all these gifts, and, like, I get all these amazing reflections, but fuck, like, this is kind of a mess over here, like I kind of can't stop doing that thing, like, it's because, I mean, people that get into this world we're all on crazy healing paths anyway, or else we would find our way into this shit. We wouldn't be crazy enough to do this unless you wanted to heal, right? It's like, so I'm excited about what we're talking about right now, because I think there's the opportunity to really, I mean, especially for you, to get people like that who are wanting to get over that next hump.
Yep.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's what we've been working on.
Yeah.
So like, that's, I think, the gift of, having this conversation today and stuff is like, like me saying, like, I was like you, it was like, I was doing great. I mean, I was doing great, but there was this thing that I just couldn't seem to heal or integrate. And now through this work with the PSI stuff, it's happening. It's definitely happening.
Yeah.
I'm in a space I haven't been in before, which is good.
Yeah. One last question, because my personal belief is that the PSI in and of itself is we had a transformative weekend, but had we not had the private sessions, and in the future have private sessions, had we not had the community, had we not had a retreat where you had a community, if we had just done this weekend and you were that disoriented and that destabilized, and then off you go, have a great life, Sean, you would have crashed and burned, if you ask me. So I believe it's the way in which I present all this work in a safe container to guarantee lasting results and well-being and success and happiness and abundance, and all the rest of it, that is different than other models of using psychedelic medicine out there. So what are your thoughts about all the way I've held you and will hold you through to your glory? Yeah.
I agree that there's a lot of usage of psychedelics out there without the proper integration, and I feel like the integration is probably the most important piece.
Totally.
It's like you can go have this wild experience that you don't quite understand, and then you get launched back into your life. And I see this with people all the time. It's like it like you said, disoriented. I don't understand what's going on. I don't have someone to check in with who can mirror back to me. Like that's been really helpful for me, like even the text that we've been trading, because I know that you really understand what I've been going through. And that's really helpful, because this thing that I'm treading through right now, a lot of people don't understand.
Yes.
It's really helpful to have that mirror, and I feel like, I have a fair amount of experience with this, and it was like, and I feel like I could navigate it, but without that mirror, it would be really like, I just feel like, too many weeks would go by and I'd be like, okay, I'm sort of like over here. So I think the integration piece is huge. And the community piece is huge, to be able to just talk about what's happening, and, that helps it integrate.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And one last piece that I want the viewers or listeners to understand: when we do psychedelic medicine and we leave our body into tier 3, the disassociation doesn't get resolved. The trauma doesn't get resolved. We have an incredible connection, insights, a high, a bliss. Like we get downloads of incredible why certain things happen, but that's way out in tier 3. You come back into your body where tier 1 is, and the wound is still there. The program is still there. And if anything, it can grow. Yeah. It can grow. So if you don't want to deal with the shadow, you don't want to deal with the program, you don't want to deal with that, you're just going to keep doing another journey and get high and just feel great. It's lovely. But then you come back not just to the same life, to worse, because what we resist persists. And a lot of, I'm going to call shadow programs, are growing in people that are doing psychedelics used that way. Not that that way is wrong, but this is just different. And this actually integrates the shadow, the program, and it does require, in my opinion, one-on-one. Like I couldn't have a whole room of 10 of you do. I mean, it would have just been carnage, right? It was my impeccable presence every single step of the way, tracking your body, tracking the emotions, tracking the demons, tracking the past lives, and being with you through all the different anger and sadness. Like you were held. You could, that surrender that your heart asked you to do, I assert, couldn't have been there without my presence.
100%.
Because you had to let go of it all. Yeah. And you did, brave man. So this partnership is exquisite. And it's one of my, you can tell my passion with it. I just love it. And then when we can do the integration, and then there's the community, and we all rise together, and we go farther, faster together. Definitely. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Okay. So ladies, I know he's really hot, but he's not dating right now. He thought his, at least this week or whatever. Yeah. But I look forward. I look forward to witnessing your healthy relationship when it arises in divine time, where you are honored and adored and cherished, because you honor and adore and cherish you. And there is a beautiful dance, no smothering, just honoring and uplifting of one another. Like you are developing the capacity to have that, but the program's gone. So I'm so looking forward to witnessing that. I want all of you gentlemen to go to his name, Sean Hotchkiss. It'll be in the show notes, seanhotchkiss.com, for his men's work, because just the men's work itself is amazing. And now he has the skills that we've been talking about. So please be in Sean's world. And then lastly, if this resonates with you, this I've never been more on fire or grounded in my capacity to give what I came here through, all of the hell I went through. This feels like the reason why, so that I can help people on this level and invite you into an extraordinary community of people that are, I mean, beyond real, grounded, funny as fuck, spiritual, all the things. We're a beautiful community. So if you'd like to learn more about that, Allana Pratt, I'll put in the show notes as well, allanapratt.com/breakthrough with Allana. And there's an Intimate Conversations podcast viewer code that my wonderful staff put together. And if I could remember, it would be very impressive. I think it's ready. Well, it's in the show notes. I think it's ready now. But anyways, it gives you a scholarship so we can have a one-on-one call together and see if this is a fit. So thank you, Sean, for sharing with everybody what it's like to work together. I acknowledge you. I honor you. I love you. You're my brother. And you inspire the shit out of me.
Thank you.
Yeah. So your last thoughts from your heart to the viewers. What does he want to say?
I think, what was coming up for me as you were just sharing is like, this is like a real solution.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, myself included, for many, many years were like, okay, like, what is really going to get me to this place that I want to go? I might not even know what that place is, but there's a part of me that's sort of pushing me on towards this place that I want to get to, right?
Yeah.
And what excites me about this stuff is like, this is, you say, coming home to ourselves, coming home to yourself. That to me is what we're all looking for, right? And anyone on this journey, we're looking to come home to ourselves, whether we can give it that verbiage or not, right?
Yeah.
And what's so cool about the work that you do is that's what you're doing, So I that's exciting to me. It's a real, I don't know, maybe it's like the Virgo in me or something, but it's like, I really like, I get really practical, and I want the solution that's going to work. I want the fucking thing that's going to work.
Yes.
I don't just want to spend money on shit that's not going to work.
No, I don't want a temporary high. I want lasting change.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for, I've had many of temporary highs that were great, but it's like, but I'm at the point now where I'm like, no, I want the thing that's really going to fucking work. So that's what I've found through this stuff and working with you, especially with this PSI stuff, which is so fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you to Saj, Razvi, and to Annie and Matthew and all my facilitators, that I can pay it forward to incredible people in my community, and to you, Sean. So, all right. I tried to keep it to an hour. I failed, but that's okay. It was a great conversation. We love you. Thanks for staying with us this whole time. Please go to SeanHotchkiss.com or the site, my site, allanapratt.com/breakthrough with Allana, so we can love the shit out of you. Mwah. Until next time, all my love. See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life. Well, I'm having my second magic mind of the day, which I love. I know people drink it like cold and it's subtly sweet, but I'm still the ginger, cinnamon, hot water magic mind girl. In fact, my client was in town. I had a VIP client in town this past weekend, actually the last 3 weekends in a row. But she arrived and my boyfriend had a show earlier from like 5 to 8, and then we could drive up to this cottage for her VIP. And so he took a magic mind before his show. And I said, how do you feel, baby? And he's like, I did. I had more energy, because he plays for literally 3 hours straight. Coffee kind of gives us the jitters. And so he feels it too. So that's pretty exciting. And I want you to know that these people are so kind. They have given you like 50% off, and look all in the show notes, because we have a special code for you, so that you can enjoy this at a beautiful savings, because you are listeners and viewers of the Intimate Conversations podcast. I really am a cranky lady when I don't have it. Like if I'm a little behind on my subscription, or I left like a box of them down in Charleston with my boyfriend, and then I came back to the cottage and I had to wait like 3 days before my next shipment came, and I was not happy, because it gives me not just energy, but like joy or like well-being, or just gives me a boost. Like my body just loves it. So I think it's important when we become more attuned with our bodies, more empathic, more loving of our bodies, and more listening, that we want to take even better care of our bodies. So I love it. And if you'd love it too, there's the code so you can have a discounted order or a subscription. So I'm having a second one tonight because I've got one more call to go with my Allana Pratt Method coaches. And then I've got my dance class with my dance teacher of, Lord knows, I think it's been 10 years now, my S Factor dance teacher. We still dance on Zoom. And I want to have energy, but I don't want to be like hyped up. I just want that yummy, flowy that I get with this. And I'm thinking back to this wonderful podcast that you got to witness with Sean. Thank you for being with us. It was longer than usual, but I think it was so worth it. The transformations that this deep work with me, with the community, with the VIP has provided for him, and provided for his business, and provided for the quality of coaching he's providing his men, and the unique niche around the mother wound, and how me as a woman, he's worked with our another podcast guest, dear friend Brian Reeves as well. So he's worked with like some really great coaches to become his best self. And so the feminine aspect that I can provide, and the healing that can provide, and now who Sean can be for his male clients. If he resonates with you, please connect with him. He's an amazing writer. Wow. So also check out his blog, and there's a book brewing. So when that occurs, I'll let you know about that. And I love the opportunity to be able to work with a coach. So the gifts I give them, they pay it forward to their clients, and so on, and so on, and so on. So what a blessing. I hope that this conversation, this podcast really inspired you. That there's no wound too big. That there's no past too ugly. That there's no, mistake that we make that we can't learn from, right? It's only a mistake if we don't do the work, right? Otherwise, it's a learning opportunity. And I'm so inspired by the work that Sean has done, and who he's become even more in our community, like how he's shown up more vulnerably on our group coaching calls, coming to our next retreat, really being a contribution and contributed to in the community. I'm very grateful, inspired for his presence. So as usual, if there's any way I can support you on your journey of healing these traumas in a way where you will feel safe and honored, and have someone of my caliber to take you through the dark night of the soul to the other side, and be there for you on the other side when it is still a little destabilizing, a little disorienting. This work isn't one and done. This work is, then you got to integrate it. Then new conversations, letting go. It's really beautiful that you would work with me that has your back through the deeper work, but all the way through to the freedom, to the abundance, to the connection, to the miracles on the other side. So thank you for being in our world. And until next time on Intimate Conversations, I love the shit out of you.